Okay, we'll start teaching the histo. What I'll do is list on the board a couple of common questions for this quiz is where are we in the GI tract? Identify the layer, the structure. So that's the first thing you should be able to do. Where are we in the GI tract? This is the esophagus. Then I'll do stomach. For the stomach, it's really important to know all the layers, but in particular for stomach, gastric pit, gastric gland. Then we get to the small intestine. Now for the small intestine, it's important to note duodenum with those Brunner's glands, spelled runners. For the jejunum, that's kind of where I'll feature those intestinal crypts with the Paneth cells. Ileum's got the maw. For the colon, I'll really feature the goblet cells. I'll feature other things, but I just want to get some things on the board here. So that's 4 spots, right? Well, more than 4. Esophagus, stomach, 3 parts of the small intestine, colon. Okay, well, this is the esophagus and it's pre-labeled. 1 is the mucosa. Mucosa, submucosa. 3 and 4 are Muscularis Externa. You can barely make out 5, but that's the serosa. So 3 is the circular layer, 4 is the longitudinal layer. And that's pretty much what I was going for on that slide.
What's 5?
Serosa, or adventitia. There's a blank figure. Here is a closer up view. Let's back it up, boop, boop. Okay, see this one? There's like a lot of stuff in there. So here's a close-up view of that. This is all, from here on up, 1, 2, 3, mucosa. You should be able to identify that number 1 is a stratified squamous epithelium. You slough off the flat cells on top and the bottom cells are regenerating. They're undergoing mitosis. They'll replace the apical layers that are sloughed off. 2, lamina propria. 3, muscularis mucosa. Okay. We're moving on. Where are we in the GI tract? This is stomach. So going from 1 to 4, serosa, muscularis externa, submucosa, mucosa. Now you're supposed to be able to have 3 layers of that muscle layer, but I can't make it out on this figure. I'll just call 2 muscularis externa. If you were to look at the mucosa up close, 1 is lamina propria, 2 and 3 are going for that gastric gland, gastric pit. Well, that looks like a pit to me. Gastric gland, deep in the mucosa. That's where all those, chief and parietal cells are, the mucus cells. So here is another region of the stomach. Just call it stomach. That's where we are in the GI tract. I can't see serosa, but I do see 1, 2, 3 layers of muscularis externa for the stomach. So that's longitudinal, circular, oblique layers of muscularis externa. This is submucosa. 5 is mucosa. You have gastric gland and gastric pits, although I need to label it. There's a blank figure there. We're moving on from stomach the small intestine. And what's the first part? Duodenum. And that's what we're looking at. And what's the key feature for duodenum? Gas. Brunner's, spelled like runners. Do you see them here? What number? 6. The Brunner's glands within the submucosa are your clue that this is small intestine, because I see the villi out here of the mucosa. And you got the Brunner's glands in the submucosa. So just going through the layers, serosa, longitudinal, circular layers of Muscularis Externa, submucosa, mucosa. This is duodenum. This is jejunum, but it's only showing you the mucosa. I'm not showing you the whole wall. But for jejunum, I see prominent villi, number 2. And deep here are the intestinal crypts. And I have a closer up view of the intestinal crypts. And these cells are all pretty much stained eosinophilic, so we're going to go with Paneth cells. So what you're looking at here in this picture are pretty much the intestinal crypts with the Paneth cells. They're also known as the crypts of Lieberkühn. Now I did mention that and write that before, so that term may pop up.
You say Paneth cells or hepatic cells?
Paneth.
Paneth.
Yeah, just like on the board. Paneth. So this is close-up jejunum. Here's ileum, lomag, and the big giveaway is number 4, malt. It's a mucosa-associated lymphoid tissue, but it really dominates the submucosa in this picture. To go through the layers, this is Muscularis Externa, longitudinal circular. This is the submucosa with the big purple splotch, the malt. Number 6 is pointing to the lamina propria. Yeah, I think that's what it's going for. 5 is all mucosa. Actually, no, I misspoke. 6 is muscularis mucosa. That's what I'm going for. Muscularis mucosa. 5 is mucosa. Where are we in the GI tract? It is the ileum. Just look for the malt. That's the dead giveaway. Okay, that's a blank picture you can study. Well, this is the colon. And what's notable about the colon are the big layers of the Muscularis Externa, the circular and longitudinal. That's the serosa, okay? Number 2 is the submucosa, and number 1 is the mucosa, which are arranged into these, this tubular organization of the mucosa, and is packed out with the goblet cells. You do have malt in the colon. There's one right there. Okay. And this is all mucosa, but the one arrow is pointing to the goblet cell. Okay? All right, so that's pretty much all the histology that will be on your quiz. It's pretty straightforward, I think, when you go through the layers like that. But anyways, what I provided are the slides that are labeled, and these are the same slides that are on the quiz. So you can study them, and I'll stop the video now.
When is that available?
Today, I think.